What's up, everyone? We're back again with another episode with Matt and David. Real Sports Science Podcast. Let's go.
Woo! We're back. Lovely Christmas dinner. Enjoyed that time over Christmas. Lots of food.
We got an exciting episode coming up. We got our second guest interview with Robbie Wilde coming up in about 5 minutes. But before that, you know what I realized we did last podcast? We came in all hype, all energy, saying, "Oh, welcome back. It's been so long. We're going to have a big catch up." And then we just jumped into sports news and we didn't even catch up. So that's what we're going to do now. Before the interview, we're going to catch up. How was your Christmas, Matt? You went skiing.
It was good. For one day, yeah. Luckily, we managed to catch a time when the snow was just on the mountain because it was a bit hectic for some people. So I went skiing for one day in David's hometown, which is Germany.
My hometown.
Funny enough,
my
were in
hometown
Germany
is
as well,
Germany, yeah. But I was in, I was different hometown though.
Oh, we could have done a little Germany.
I'm upset that you didn't post any reels where it's like, I'm with my cousin Wilhelm and he's about to do a big trick. Have you seen those reels? But how was it? It was a good time.
Yeah. I just love skiing because you fall and the chances you get really badly hurt aren't that high. But yeah, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? I love it. Love the snow.
That's like, what'd you do for New Year?
Just watch the fireworks from everywhere else. We had an Airbnb. We had an Airbnb in the middle of a farm, so we couldn't light up any fireworks where we were because it would scare all the
really,
cattle.
that's what the Airbnb host said.
Really fat pig.
That's hilarious.
He didn't say that, but out of respect, we did it like that. So we just could see it all because we were in an open farm. We could see everyone's fireworks across everywhere. But there was two really fat pigs where we were, like proper fat ones.
And that's the end of the story. I thought there was a follow up. There was these fat pigs and they did something sick. No, they were just really fat.
Really just chubby pigs.
That's hilarious.
Their faces, like really scrunched up faces as well.
That's so funny.
Like that.
That's sick.
Really
nice. It was really good. Went to Germany as well. My sister flew over from Canada, so she was there as well. I was in the hometown where my mom grew up, so my grandma's still there. Got some family there as well, so that was great. All we did, it's actually a joke. All I did was sit and eat. There's which is pretty standard when I go visit my grandma anyways, which I'm not complaining about. There's this one day where we went to one of my uncle and aunt's house, right? And this is how the day went. We got there for lunch, and it was going to be like a big lunch. Got there for lunch. Get there, make lunch, sit down. We sit down. We're probably sat down for a couple hours, eating, chatting, whatever, right? We get up, and as people are putting lunch away, we start to put on like the kettle for coffee and cake. And so I go outside. I just go for a quick walk. Half an hour later, we sit back down for coffee and cake. And when I say coffee and cake, I mean coffee and cake. I'm talking variety, not just like one cake for all of us to share. There's like probably 5 different types of cakes there for us to share. It was incredible.
That's why David can't do any muscle ups now.
Oh, your boy's still doing muscle ups, all right? Say less. It was nuts though. And then story's not done. We sit down for coffee and cake. You just drink so much coffee, eat so much cake. We probably sat there for it must have hours. We started coffee and cake at 4, and it was about 7:30. At 7:30, somebody was like, "So, we should probably get dinner ready, hey?" So we got up up purely to put away coffee and cake and get dinner on the table to sit back down and eat again.
Mate, I like this sort of stuff.
It was great.
A lot of eating.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it was really good. And then came home, and then my sister came over here for New Year's, which is really fun. Went up to Nottingham to a hockey game with her and my girlfriend. Went a bit of skating, bit of an ice hockey game. It was fun. It was really good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's it. Now we're back. First episode last week. Second
go,
one,
last week.
second one this week where we got Robbie Wilde. Do you want to kind of tee him up, say anything before we get into it?
Yeah. Big man Robbie. Yeah, no, he's a guy on my course, and then we went through a lot for that 1 year. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to him to see where he is now. I haven't really had a massive catch up with him since, so it's gonna be interesting to see what challenges he's faced when applying for jobs, how he's got this new job, how is he finding it? Has anything changed? Had he learned something that he didn't when he was at Loughborough? All those bunch of questions, but we're just gonna hop right into it, aren't we,
Let's
David?
go.
So see you later, Robbie.
Without further ado, let's go. Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm here to introduce our second guest, which is a very good friend of mine. Even though I've only known him for, a year? He is a great athlete and can smash a long jump anywhere when asked. He's pretty bouncy, I can't lie. I remember doing some, agility, speed, plyometric stuff. Basically had springs in his shoes. He's also doing pretty well at weightlifting. I remember one session he came up and said, yeah, I can snatch now. But after a snatch, he's currently rehabbing from a shoulder surgery and a bulging disc at the same time.
From the snatch, both from the snatch.
Yes, indeed.
Nice.
He is. He's currently interning at GoPerform, and I'm sure he's loving it in there. And we will be diving into that conversation shortly. So, here to introduce Robbie Wilde.
Thank you.
Robbie
Into
Wilde
the
is-
Wild. That's what we're gonna name this podcast. Into
There you
the
go.
Wild.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. No, thanks for that. That was nice. Cheers.
Took me all day
How are
to
you
figure
feeling
out that
today,
one.
Robbie?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Ready
How's
to
the
get going.
shoulder?
It's good. Yeah, I had physio today. It's getting better. It's still proper stiff, especially like external rotation. It's really, really stiff. So, but that
Matt,
was
do you know what that is, Matt? External. That's this. You got that? Taking notes.
So David and I won't be talking for the rest of the podcast. I will just be ignoring him. Geez, I remember you came up. I remember the next day after one of the lectures, you came up for a practical. I can't actually, or was it just a lecture? And then you just said, "Yeah, no, I popped out my shoulder."
yeah.
How did you
And-
do that?
So it's a pre-existing injury. So when I
Okay.
was like 13 playing rugby, I just separated my AC joint. So it was nothing
Okay.
crazy, and I went to the hospital and they were like, at first they said, yeah, we can have surgery to fix that, but then the higher up surgeon, he recommended against it because I was quite young, and it can make you stiff, and you sort of can fix an AC joint with physio. But I wish I'd got the surgery back then, because since then I think in total it's dislocated about 8 times, just doing loads of really random stuff. I think the first time it dislocated, I was doing a box jump, so when I like threw my arms up, it just like came out the socket.
Both your arms just fly against the wall.
Yeah.
You know when you're doing a pull up and both his arms just like stay there and his
Yeah.
body's just on the floor.
Yeah,
That's-
and then,
that's
like, another
scary.
one, I like jumped up to grab the pull-up bar, and it was just like a weird angle. It's basically whenever I get into like
You've actually dislocated it doing a pull up. Just
Yeah,
jumping
jump-
up for a pull
get
up.
the bar, yeah. So
That's a mental.
yeah, so and then every time it dislocated, something else internally broke, or like every single time like a ligament got stretched, or like my labrum got torn. So I ended up having like obviously the AC joint problem, torn labrum, and something else that I didn't fully understand. So the surgery I ended up having was a bigger surgery than I would have had
Right.
when I was younger. But
Brutal.
what can you do?
That's not. So did they do it where they take a piece of bone off and just basically screw your shoulder into, like screw your humerus into your shoulder joint?
Not quite. I don't fully understand what they did. It's called like the purse string technique. I think they get the remaining labrum, because the labrum was all torn and open, and because like he was explaining it to me, because the labrum has like a suction effect on the humerus.
Right.
Like there was no suction effect anymore. So they get what's remaining of the labrum, and then they sort of just tighten it up, and I think they also put something like a block, something to block my rotation in there. So now it's like it's quite stiff, but it's getting better. But
Okay.
But you're in a good
Better.
spot then, working at
There you
GoPerform.
go.
yeah, it's good. So like obviously I'm still with physio through the NHS at the moment, but
Yeah.
on top of that, like I can just have conversations with the physios there, And when my back started hurting again, like they helped me out with that as well. They have a look at it and give me some advice. So yeah, it's
That's
good.
awesome.
It's a good
I was
place.
gonna goes on to the next question. Like, how did you find GoPerform? You know, going from say like a master's and then going to a first like full-time role. How have they like helped you settle in? The difficulties you faced when actually trying to get a job. So I guess I'll break that down a bit easier. Like, how did you experience any challenges, difficulties when trying to actually look for a job coming out of the masters, or do you think the masters was enough to get you a role?
No, definitely. Like, but I think everyone experiences some like anxiety when they're looking to get a job. Like I heard you speaking to Hayden about it. Um, like sending out all these applications and just getting nothing back.
Yeah.
And not being exactly sure which setting you want to work in. So, like, I applied for a couple school roles, like what Matt's doing, and I went to one interview, and I just didn't. It wasn't for me.
Mm.
So, but then the way I found out about GoPerform was Rich Blagrove, me and Matt's course leader. He sent out this advert for GoPerform, which because the head of performance there, my boss Tristan Baker, he used to be taught by Rich Blagrove at I think St Mary's, so he used to be his lecturer. So Rich sent the job description out, and it looked really ideal because it's in Reading, which is near me, like 25 minutes away. And because I'm not married to the idea of being like a football S&C coach or a rugby S&C coach, it's like multi-sport. There's like a rehab focus as well. So it was just like a no-brainer, really. And yeah, I was lucky to get the place.
So just to back up a little for myself as well, and people who don't have any idea what we're talking about, just a bit of your background. So obviously you grew up playing rugby,
Well,
right? Or
no,
grew up
main-
playing sports,
yeah. So
and rugby was included in that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. My main
And
sport when I was younger was athletics,
okay, well,
Yeah.
and what event did you do?
long jump.
Oh, nice.
So I started off as a sprinter when I was really young, and then like transitioned to long jump when I was a bit older.
Okay, cool.
Um,
And then you did your undergrad sports science somewhere. Did you do that at Loughborough?
at Bath,
Oh, at Bath. Okay,
Yeah.
Bath. Why did I say it like that? Jeez.
like us.
We're converting you. You're
Disgusting.
going to become English soon.
Oh
mate.
yeah, Bath. What?
Bath.
And then it's a master's in S&C at Loughborough.
Yeah.
And where you're working right now, GoPerform. I've just like I follow them on Instagram, really for the last couple of months, and then one of my friends is from Reading, and when she's down there, she goes there as well. And so am I correct saying it's a gym that also do they have like physios that work
Yeah.
there as well? So it's like S&C
Yeah. So
physio,
it's like a one-stop shop for like
right? Performance sport mainly.
Well,
Right.
it's a mix. So they all used to work. The three main guys, Luke the physio, Tristan the head of performance, and Dan the rehabber slash massage, but also does like physio stuff as well. They all used to work at Reading Football Club together.
Okay.
And then I think Tristan left in like 2015ish and to go work somewhere else. And then while Luke and Dan were still there, like classic sports club situation, Mandy gets sacked and everyone is gone. Like even the kit man's gone. So then I think that's when they decided they wanted to set up this facility that provides like top sports club level care for athletes if they want, and also the general public. So they do also just do normal clinical physio as well. So people who might have like through like insurance,
Right.
or just paying like off their own back, they just want some physio for an injury. So it's not just athletes; like you get just regular people coming in,
Right.
and that's quite good because when we're doing our S&C sessions, the physios like bring them in the gym and they see us doing our sessions, and then they might think, oh, this is good. I want a piece of this. Like that's where a lot of the members have come from, is like being injured and coming in and then seeing how the strength conditioning sessions work.
Right.
So obviously, like I was saying, as well as the physio, there's also the performance side. One of the main things that I do is these group S&C sessions for the members called the Elevate members. So they pay a monthly subscription. They get 4 coached S&C sessions a week, some access to physio drop-ins and massages and things. And they train at the same time, but they all have their own program on Train Heroic, this app, and they're all following their own things. And that could be anything from like a professional athlete, semi-professional athlete, or just like a regular Joe looking to get fitter. So yeah, it's great.
Okay, it sounds really nice. It sounds like you're sort of, even for athletes who don't have a specific club that they're tied to, or a home, essentially, to put it like that, they can always just come to a gym like that and then get the help that they need to, get them to that next level.
Yeah.
So that sounds really nice. And then I guess one thing, and I'm sure you'd love this question, but I remember we were being taught in our masters about like beliefs, values, and like coaching styles.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, since doing the masters, all those different practical sessions we had, all those different lectures of theory about what are your beliefs and how do you adapt that. I was thinking about, has any of your beliefs that you had, say, prior to actually starting to GoPerform changed, and like your coaching style changed a bit? And if so, like which ones, or if you can give us examples.
I think mainly it's being like adaptable to different people. So like, while we were doing our placements at Loughborough, we were just coaching university students and like just one group of people. But here at GoPerform, there's like a massive range. Like there's kids sessions, and going all the way up to like people in their 70s. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, don't be too rigid in how you approach sessions, because you're gonna have to treat everyone differently. Like some people like a kick up the arse, and some people need like the softer approach.
Yeah.
So I'm not a massive believer in having like a massive rigid philosophy, because I think you need to be able to adapt to the different situations, unless you are a football S&C coach and or like a rugby S&C coach. It obviously is more similar, but when you're working in a setting where there's loads of different types of populations, and you need to be able to behave differently with other people.
I guess it does get
how.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, it does get quite difficult. Say, if, especially, I don't know, the time frame. Say if you're coaching a group of, or like 2 rugby players coming back from injury, who are, sort of need that sort of more caring, more, not as such an intense session. Whereas, say you got a bunch of footballers who are raring to go, who are going to, have a big strength session. You got to be malleable. You got to sort of conform yourself into different sort of situations and work at the end of the day, work well, or the best possible version to align with what the athlete's needs are.
He's froze for me. Is he frozen for you?
You guys are frozen for me.
Can you hear me?
Mate, I'm gonna end it and then join back, okay?
That's fine. Go ahead.
We're in there.
Mate,
I know.
I was chatting some absolute heat as well.
Yeah, I heard what you said, so it'll be interesting.
Sweet, maybe that will pick up then. All right, sweet.
Yeah,
do
maybe
you want to hit
fine.
him with your question then?
Yeah, it was similar to what you're saying, Matt. It's just really interesting to hear that you have people that come there for physio, and then all of a sudden they get bought in, see kind of the style of training that happens there, and then get bought into it. And I had a conversation with one guy who owned a gym back home that was very similar to that, and we had a training about, or we chatted about how some people who especially don't come from an athletic background are scared to like train, quote unquote, like an athlete.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to see that they can come into that environment, not coming there for training, but then have the chance to see what training like that looks like, and then like, oh, actually, I always think everyone should train like an athlete.
Yeah.
Just obviously the intensity changes.
Yeah.
And the needs change. Needs analysis. That's Matt's favorite word on the podcast.
He loves it. There's definitely a stigma as well around weight training in general. People just think of bodybuilders, meatheads, and they don't realize that it's super important, especially if you're like aging, for example, like daily living things like being able to stand up
Absolutely.
and sit down. That's literally a squat. Picking things up, that's a deadlift. But
Yeah.
like Dan at my work, he has a term for it. He calls it robusting. He doesn't say like weight training and resistance training. When someone's like an older person comes in and he wants them to start doing some resistance training, he's like, oh, we're going to do some robusting today, because
That's
he
hilarious.
doesn't want them to sort of think, oh, I don't want to lift weights and get massive and things like that.
Yeah.
But
No, it's
And
good
have
that.
you found yourself get better, or have you found that you yourself have been getting better at approaching those people, especially at Loughborough? Like you were saying, you're training athletes all the time,
yeah,
and you can get used to training that population. Was it different, or was it difficult at the start to kind of switch that mindset of I have to approach these people differently, and how has that changed over? How long have you been there now for?
I've been there since September, mid-September. So
Okay, so a
like
few months. Has that changed? Have you seen that change and progress over the last few months?
100%. Yeah. So I went from, as you said, training athletes. They know the basics of um, of weight training, and then going from some people who come in, they've never done a squat, they've never done a deadlift in their life, and it's quite a good practice for coaching, because you need to go back to the complete basics of teaching someone how to squat, and you don't often get that at some places. If you're just training professional athletes, you're more focused on advanced exercises, or you're not giving a lot of cues because their technique's okay. So and it's also giving different kinds of cues to different people. If people don't know any body parts, so like internal versus external cueing, they don't know like this bone, that muscle. So
Yeah.
you've got to really break it down and be really simple with how you're trying to teach people things.
Yeah.
Even so, and it's also all good. It's also good to have role models there for those sort of people. Like,
Yeah,
imagine you're training and you got a bunch of athletes that are just hitting that. You can actually see what you need to do, the technique in a proper demonstration right beside you, doing like say 8 reps of it.
mm,
You can actually break it down and actually see what you need to do and be like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. And then you can actually have great role models. So
yeah.
I feel like it's
Matt's just thinking of how he can get away with not working. He's like,
I
so
don't
I
even
have
have to
to, I have
demonstrate
to,
anymore. I
I
can
have
just
to teach the
send them off to
deadlift
them.
today. We're gonna look over at this corner of the gym. When you figure it
Hey,
out, come back and we'll do our
I
sets.
can't do extra reps of my deadlift, mate. I've got to keep my load. I'm just tracking and managing my load, David. I
Yeah.
can't push
Yeah,
anymore.
today's squat. So I'm gonna go up. Definitely go away. Go grab a
Yeah,
coffee. You talk to this coach, and I'll be back in half an hour.
yeah. Oh, but yeah. I was just thinking, and the conversations we were having with Hayden and we've had on this podcast surrounding like,
Yeah.
is masters or is a PhD good? Do you need a bachelor's degree? Talking about like, are these degrees actually worth it? And I was just, and another question I'd like to ask was like, has GoPerform taught you things that the masters hasn't or hadn't?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely more the soft skills, like approaching people, but that sort of just comes from experience. It's not like they sat me
Yeah.
down, they're like, this is how you talk to
Right.
people. Um, but also more technical things as well. So in our masters, I didn't learn how to, like, we learned how to use some bits of equipment, but not massively. It was more theory based. So here I've learned how to use like a flywheel, um, like handheld dynamometers. There's like a anti-gravity treadmill and all these different bits of equipment and like speed gates and jump mats and things. Um, and this like practical skills that I didn't really get from the degree. But I did get all the theory from the degree. So um, yeah, I
So
think
would
you
you say,
definitely need a combination.
yeah, I was going to say, so would you say like just if you're doing a master's, which, I think we're alluding to that you do sort of need in a sense, um, definitely make the most out of it by just getting a placement on the side, working with as many athletes, asking as many questions while you're there. So like say, because I know there is a flywheel in the weightlifting area, at Power Base. Just even saying like, oh, when we're there, like, oh, Rich, like what is this and how can we use this? I guess it's just being proactive and making the most
Yeah,
of the situation you're in.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I'd say that's one of the regrets I had. I was just, when you're just doing coursework or like lectures, you think you're doing a lot, but you actually have a lot of time, but you put that time away for just to relax a bit. I wish I did more with my time.
And I think
it's just
also, like you said, placements are really important, because I think the reason I'm needing to do this like extra year internship is because I didn't know I wanted to be an S&C coach while I was in undergrad, so I didn't go and do an S&C placement. I think it's really important if you're thinking about doing S&C in like your first, second year while you're at uni, definitely get a placement, or at least like over the summer do a bit of like volunteer work, because it's so important. Like you're not going to get with a degree, a master's in S&C, and you got no experience, you're not going to get a full-time job. Like full stop. Like you need to have experience.
Unless you do the UK SCA and then you just get a job, the best job in the world, eh?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's so interesting to hear you say that. But I wonder, so you didn't do much practical or any practical in your undergrad?
Well, we did
or a little bit.
More lifting, things that don't require really technical equipment, like just weights or just plyos and field-based stuff. And even then, we didn't get loads of time.
But how? I guess the question, I'm thinking like Matt, you said, "Oh, I wish I did this and this," and like hindsight's always 20/20, and sometimes you just don't know what you either don't know or you don't know what you should know or what things you get. So I wonder if even, sure you didn't do undergrad or too much practical in your undergrad, but I wonder if you doing it now after having a master's and a bit more theory-based knowledge and also knowledge of, or just maturing as a student and as an individual, of now in this position, you're going to actually be able to get way more out of it than if you did this same position 2 years ago in your undergrad.
I completely agree, because there's definitely things I learned in the S&C masters that I didn't learn in the sports science masters, like more specific things about like muscle or just technical things that I definitely didn't know a couple of years ago. So, and now being like applying it to a real world job, it definitely, I'm in a better position now than I would have been a couple of years ago. I'm definitely getting more out of it, 100%.
And what's the goal? I guess you said you didn't know you wanted to be an S&C coach, so I'm assuming you would like to be an S&C coach. Do you see yourself working in somewhere like GoPerform where you get to work with a lot of different populations, or do you see yourself more as working kind of a team sport or individual sport in one specific population?
I think,
or you don't know.
I think more somewhere similar to where I'm at now, or for example, like ending up in like the EIS or something where you're you could be placed in a bunch of different Olympic sports, because a lot of people on our course, like Matt will probably agree with me, they're coming in as football fans or rugby fans, and they're like, I want to be a football strength and conditioning coach, I want to be a rugby strength and conditioning coach, but I didn't have that. So
don't know who you're talking about. I don't know. I might have met him. I'm not sure.
Mr. Volunteering for every single low-level rugby team.
Whoa, low level. That I'd take offense to that. That's ridiculous. Can't believe you said that.
I mean, semi-pro.
Robbie, we're starting a new podcast. The real sports science podcast.
The actual real one.
For real this time. But yeah,
I had another question. Just before we moved on, you talked a lot about having to have an open mind. That's not the word that you use, but being able to talk to different people, not being rigid in your ways. Where do you think you learned that from? Both like seeing it and also though seeing it and being like, that's a good idea, and not being closed off. Like how do you think you developed that ability to be open to changing how you train someone or how you talk to someone?
I think it's purely through experience. So I had like you have like a couple awkward encounters sometimes when like you give you talk to someone some way, or you give them some sort of cue that they just don't understand. So going from just training one population, I came in with that like one mentality and one way of treating people, and then you just have a few times where you think back, should I have said that? Like, should I have said it a different way? And I think you need to sometimes have some encounters to think about. It's not a book theory thing that you can go and read about how to approach different people. I think it's definitely just through like getting your feet wet and doing it through experience.
No, I mean, that was amazing. Yeah, it was really interesting to learn from another point of view. Like, because I mean, we both came from the same course, and we're both doing very different things, and it was just interesting to see how it's little things like how your coaching styles adapted, how how we've changed from both our areas, or like how similar we've experienced things in our different environments as well. And I think it was just really interesting. Now for the final part, it's Robbie's favorite topic. He's told me so much. I think he's got a PhD in this. I won't lie, just solely in this. It's blood flow restriction training. So, I mean, David or Robbie. I mean, I've heard David knows everything about this. He's got a PhD in this as well. So I'm interested to hear about all the knowledge that is going to be 100% true. So what is blood flow restriction training?
So I'll start with saying how I got into the doing it masters. So
just massive arm pumps, is it? Or just, okay,
so I had a training session with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Blood flow restriction.
So Matt will know that at Loughborough, when you pick your masters, well, you probably know as well, you get like all these choices of all the different lecturers have that put forward their project, and you rank your favorite 1 to 4. And my number 4 was environmental physiology. Like, it's the one I wanted the least, and I got my 4th choice basically.
So did I. Did you, Matt?
No, who got my first, mate? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
You got your first?
Yes.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So yeah, environmental physiology, that's things like altitude training, heat training and things like that. And I'm not an endurance athlete. Like, every sport I've done is like
that's why you're best mates with Rich legs.
Is like a power sport or a speed sport. So I was like, I don't want to do anything to do with endurance or team sports. So I tried to look at I just Googled like environmental physiology, and one of the things was blood flow restriction training. So, and that's one of the obviously used in resistance training, and I'm more interested in resistance training than I am endurance sport. So I was like, okay, I'll choose that.
That's so sneaky.
Yeah,
that's so sneaky, because as soon as you say environmental physiology, people think of like the environment that you're in, right? Like, are you high? Are you low? Is it cold? Is it hot? No one thinks of like, what's the environment of the muscle?
Yeah, exactly.
That's sneaky.
Yeah, so that's the reason I did that, and I'd never actually heard of it before. So I was starting completely from scratch, and then obviously through doing a meta-analysis, through necessity, you have to read like millions and millions of papers about it. And then I didn't think I'd ever encounter it again, but then going to GoPerform, they use blood flow restriction all the time. So it actually turned out to be quite a good project to do. But yeah, essentially what it is tying or using a cuff or some other implement to block blood flow coming back to the heart. And basically what that, I think I got that the right way around. But basically what that does,
He's
it
getting
means
nervous already. Does he know everything?
someone's going to Google it and be like, actually no.
Andy.
Yeah, that's you, Andy. And it basically just means like blood pools and like then metabolites pool in the muscle, and it acts on like the metabolic stress side of hypertrophy. So the two main determinants: hypertrophy, mechanical tension, metabolic stress. So it basically just increases the metabolic stress when you're doing resistance training, and it's mostly used in low load exercise. So like 20 to 30%, well, 20 to 50%, 1 rep max is usually around 30%. and it's for reps of the usually rep scheme that you see all the time in the literature is 30, 15, 15, 15. And basically you just see similar growth of a muscle as heavy training with lighter weights, but you don't see as much of a strength gain. So basically why it's good for rehab and things like that is that you can grow the muscle back without putting too much force through the joint.
Right.
So yeah, it's mostly used in rehab, but it is a bodybuilding thing as well. Like it was first, its first application was in bodybuilding in like the 70s, but now it's becoming like a physiotherapy tool.
Yeah, that's where the first time I've ever seen it was just bodybuilders using it just to get like a big arm
Yeah,
pump, or you know.
yeah.
But it's nice to actually understand it more now and see that there are massive benefits in a rehab setting.
So
Yeah.
you're tricking your muscle. So you occlude like your arm or your leg or something, and you're tricking your body into thinking it's doing a ton of work because of all
Yeah,
the metabolites that are pooling, and then
yeah,
that causes like the release of growth hormone and all that stuff
yeah.
that
And
increases hypertrophy. It's so interesting. Have you done it at GoPerform?
this is a funny thing. So, like a couple of weeks ago, I did an intro at GoPerform. I did a presentation about my masters on blood flow restriction, and
I
so
liked it on LinkedIn.
everyone there thinks I'm like they don't, like they joke how I'm like the expert on like blood flow restriction. I've never used it. I've never actually put it on. And I get people like when I'm doing like a rehab session with someone and I get them to put it on and they're like really uncomfortable. And I'm like, yes, it is an uncomfortable experience. Like
That's hilarious. You need to do it.
Is
I
it
know.
supposed to hurt like this? Is my arm supposed to? Yeah, I think so. And then the
Yeah.
person just
It's
passes
fine.
out next time he looks at him.
Yeah.
Someone's walked in after hearing Robbie's little lecture. Someone's walked
Yeah.
in. That's got it. That's got his legs. Got it. Every muscle's got it. And he just walked in like this.
Mm.
Time to train.
It is so uncomfortable. I did a practical in my undergrad where I wrote a paper about it as well. This was like 4 years ago now. Jeez. Um, and then so I did it at the physiotherapist office. It hurts so much. They had like this leg press machine, and I was doing the littlest amount of weight possible on it for like 15 reps. And
That's just
I
standard David, though, isn't it?
oh,
The champ is here.
and I've never been in so much pain. I've never struggled more with such a little weight.
Yeah.
I was so happy when it was finished. And I guess it's interesting because I guess it's too bad because it's such a great tool that you can use, but you can really only use it for people who are willing to go through pain. So usually like more
Yeah.
athletes. Because the other thought is you could use that like, oh great, let's use that for like elderly population who can't do much anyways.
Mm.
So let's have them do less,
Yeah.
but get more of a benefit from it. I
Yeah.
don't know. Have you used it with a different population other than athletes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So when people come in, and they're doing a membership or they're just rehabbing, like we do use it as a tool. I wouldn't say we use it with like really old people, especially not. I personally haven't, but I have seen in the literature, like a lot of papers I read, they use it in elderly populations, but they put it on while they're like walking and things. So
Right.
they don't put it on and do like leg extensions and things, because when you like occlude the muscles and you go on like a walk on the treadmill, you can still get some like hypertrophy from that when you're occluding the muscles. So I've seen it in the literature, but the answer is yes, I have used it on people other than athletes, but not
Not old people.
really.
There has been some papers as well that say that especially people who have high blood pressure, that it's not the greatest to
Yeah,
do it on them.
that,
Oh,
yeah,
and how has that been? Like, is that? I guess this kind of goes to a culture thing of what the culture of that gym is. Whether people are more willing to do something that might cause a little bit of discomfort than not. Um, so maybe this is more of like a culture of the gym question, but like how's that been of like bringing up the topic of this is something that we could try that I think might be helpful. It is like you will experience some discomfort, which is normal. Like, have you had people that it's harder to kind of get buy-in for that? How would you go about getting buy-in from someone who isn't maybe an athlete and used to that kind of discomfort or pushing themselves?
Well, people definitely moan when we ask them. Like some people enjoy like sadistically enjoy the pain sort of thing. But some people like they jokingly moan like, "Oh, I got blood flow restriction. Like this is the worst part of the session." And things.
Yeah.
But I think people's willingness and like excitement to use these like novel tools like outweighs their them not wanting to do it because it's uncomfortable. I think people are really keen to use these new methods, and if we reassure them like a quick explanation of how it works and they understand like the mechanisms behind it like slightly, I think they are willing to use it. I personally haven't had an issue where someone's just flat out been like, I'm not doing that. Like sometimes people are like, oh great, blood flow restriction, but it's sort of like a bit of a laugh. So I've never had someone's been like, no, I'm not doing that. But yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. And I guess when the information's coming from the guy that has Blood Flow Restriction Pro on his business card,
yeah,
you don't say no.
yeah.
I'll tell you what. No, that was an amazing conversation. I mean, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it was just obviously it's nice catching up with you. You know, my best friend for 1 year. But no, it was great to catch up and just like see how your career is going and progressing and things you've experienced. And I'll speak on behalf of David. It was lovely having you on here. But obviously you're not going to leave without some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And I think I've got one that's going to be, I think it's going to be like 5 rapid questions.
So do I have to like answer straight away?
It's the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Give or take, plus or minus.
Rapid, I think.
Plus or minus 7 seconds.
All right, I'll give you the first one. Ready? Are you ready, Robbie?
I'm ready.
Robbie Wilde takes the stage. Okay. What is your go-to lazy dinner? Like takeaway.
Good question.
KFC.
Nice. Apart from popping your shoulder out, what is your hidden talent?
I can belly dance. Like make my stomach go like ooh.
Nice. What is your favorite
belly
board game?
dance.
What is your favorite board game?
Monopoly. 100%.
Nice. Who's your favorite Disney character?
Ooh. That's a good question. Woody, Toy Story.
Nice. All right. How do you usually answer the telephone? So if I was to call you, how do you answer it?
Well, it depends. Like as I was saying, different people.
Right, so if I'm calling you, how would you answer it?
Hello, mate. How's your day?
Nice. See, that's so sweet. I thought it was, but if it's someone SSC, it's hello, Mr. Blood Flow Restriction Training over here.
Yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Nice. That was 5, wasn't it?
I don't know. I wasn't keeping track. I thought you said on that second one, what's your hidden talent? I thought you said I can barely dance.
Yeah, I heard that as well. But then when he did the motion, that was
yeah. I'm so bad at dancing that it's a talent.
No, that was great. Nice bit of fun.
I got one more question. New Year's resolutions, pop or drop?
Wait, cop or drop?
Yeah, do it or bad? Yeah, it's a Canadian thing.
Okay, sure.
New Year's resolutions. Do you think they're good or do you think they're bad?
I think they're good.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
What's a personal one?
Well,
Text Matt more.
You put an Instagram question up a couple of days ago on what's your New Year's resolution. I did reply to it. Get wham. So
I saw that. I have no idea what that means.
So clearly, January's not the month to do it.
Because my left arm has shrunk since the surgery. It's getting back now, but it was a noodle for a bit. So I'm just trying to get that bit.
What was smaller, your arm or Matt's legs?
Okay, never mind. Next question. It'll be interesting to do a second parter, maybe at GoPerform. Bit of content there.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
We could all do blood flow restriction together and see who lasts longest.
We can altitude mask, blood flow restriction on both legs.
Just at the same time.
How long can you last?
Yeah.
Oh mate, that would be awesome.
See who
That
passes out first. That'd be so much fun.
mate, that would be that was yeah, that would be fun. No, it was great. It was great having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having
Really,
me.
really
That was
loved
good fun. It's good.
Yeah,
See
really
you for part
appreciate
two.
it.